Hello and welcome everyone to this series. This series aims to be your guide to creating multiplayer games in Unreal Engine 5. We're going to start from scratch, building up to a complete finished product that you can send your friends, perhaps polish on it and publish it yourself. First, we're going to set up our project or networking, create essential base classes, and set up a simple host join UI with a listen server. Then we're going to build up a functional lobby and cover core replication concepts like ownership, RPCs, and variable replication. Then we're going to add features like player names, chatting, pickup systems, and inventory systems, and learn how to basically use the base classes to manage a clean flow for the game. The project aims to showcase what a real game development looks like. So we're not going to stop until this game is finished. So you can expect some stuff to be bought from the marketplace, other stuff to be basically outsourced. And I'm going to walk you through the work we're doing along the way. This is basically tutorial and a dev vlog. We're going to discuss every nook and cranny in the game, but at the same time, you must expect that there is a lot of work ahead of us. So stay tuned, and I promise that this is going to be something worth your time. First, what we're going to do is actually head over to our Unreal Engine and create a game project without no C++, and we're going to add this later, of course. And what I'm aiming at is the third person template, and we're going to use Unreal Engine 5.6 for that because there is a lot of stuff that we need from that version of the engine. And then we're going to get a variant, which is the combat variant for the simple assets that we're going to get from that variant. Some particle systems, a health bar. So this is good enough. So let's just get started and create our project. First of all, let me start by introducing the way I like to work, which is basically keeping things clean. So first of all, I'm creating a folder here, and I'm going to just choose to give it a unique color so that this is my folder. Now, the rest of the folders is basically the folders that come in with the third person template, and the variant combat is here. So the first thing I did is actually I went into the third person and cleaned it up. Basically, no blueprints here. I took that blueprint for the character and just moved it into the core files and created this and renamed it BP player. So this is the same file that comes into the third person template, but just renamed. Same for GM game, which is the game mode basically. And same for the PC game, it's just a player controller that you can create here. Just right click and create a player controller. No, nothing additional added. Now, this file is really important because we're going to be working on a multiplayer game. So this is a game instance where you can look for it here in the all classes. Just write game instance and you find it here. BP game instance. I'm sorry, game instance, and you just rename it. Now, the second part is I took basically the variant map, which is the level combat, and I copied it 3 times so that I can create the maps basically named one game, the other lobby, and the third menu. So I'm just going to work with that for my prototyping first. This is like the first step of our project. Second, I created a very small base UI, and I'm going to walk you through it. Now, bear in mind, this is like the bare bones for creating an online game, so a multiplayer game. So the idea here is just to get this started. Now, first, let's take a look at this UI. Now this UI has welcome, player number, create, and find. Now, first of all, this is not functional at all. All that is functional here is create and find. The rest is just a look right now. We're going to fill through this the next tutorial, but now we need this to work. So first of all, before we start, let me walk you through the project settings that I changed. There is only 2 project settings that I changed. First, search instance, and we're going to place our BP game instance that we just created. And second, we need to make sure that the online subsystems plugins are active. So we have online subsystem, we have online subsystem null, and we have online subsystem utilities. Now, bear in mind that along this project, we're going to have to activate a lot of more, like for example, online subsystem Steam to actually have access to Steam later on. But this is for a tutorial down the line. Now, let's go back to our UI. Now, this create session is going to basically do one thing, which is very simple. It's going to take the number of players here, and it's going to take a player controller, and then it's going to open level. Now, here is the trick. You have to write the level that we want to take. Basically, we want it to take us to the game level. And the trick here is the options. We want this to be a listen server. So whenever someone joins, this is listening. So basically we put a listen into the options and make sure the listen is as it looks. It's case sensitive basically. So make sure this is the same. Now, the second thing is when the other button find session is created, we're going to create another blueprint widget, which is basically a key, a button, and a box. Now this is a vertical box so that every single item is going to basically be inserted here. And this is each line. This is a widget for each line. Basically, this is a server name, something for ping, and a key to join. Now let's take a look first and how we find sessions. And this is basically very simple. First of all, I show the loading, and then I call this function, which is also from the online subsystem. And then I do a for each. And then we create each line and pass it the settings. Now, I created a settings variable here. It's a blueprint session result. And I made it editable and exposed on spawn. This way, this shows up here. Now, once I pass this through, I get the box and add a child to it. Basically, that's my box, which is going to have all the sessions active. And after I'm done, I'm just going to collapse the loading look so that it's not loading anymore. So the next question is, who actually creates this? Now, let's just go back to our core again. Now, we have a GM game and a PC game, basically a game mode. We name it game, and a player controller. Let's take a look at this and see what is happening here. So first of all, I'll have to say that I created another game mode, another player controller for the lobby, which is GM lobby and PC lobby. And I'm just going to go inside here and show you what it is. So the first thing I am going to show you is that I changed the player controller to PC lobby, and I changed the player controller, the default player class to BP player. Now let's take a look at our lobby. it is the same map that comes with the variant of combat. And the only thing I changed to test this is basically this number. I changed the number of players to 2. There's nothing in the level blueprint written. So your question here is going to be, well, how do you create the UI for the lobbying or the base lobby, basically? How do I create this blueprint and show it to the player? So for now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to check our begin play in our player controller that is inside the lobby. And how we do that is basically we go to Window, World Settings, and then go to Game Mode and assign our Game Mode lobby, which has our player controller lobby. Now, the first thing we're going to do, we check for the player controller to be local. I'm going to explain that more in the next video, but basically, this is going to check that we are the player controller inside the client. And then we create this UMG, and mainly we show our mouse. So if I run this right now, I'm just going to have this create session or find session. And if I create session, it's going to make me go to another level, which is a lookalike for now, which is the game level. Now let me just give you a look for that again. Now let's just take a look. When I press that, I'm just going to go there and create session. Now create session is an online subsystem function. And there is a lot of functionalities that we're going to cover up later, but open level is the main one here, which is going to open the level game and listen for it. Now, this is available in create session, but when you want to join, that's not what happens. In the session line, which is here, we can press join. Now, when we press join, it only gets the setting that we defined here, and it only join session. As you can notice, I didn't even update the data, so I'm just going to show you here what is happening with my other client. So I create a session, and here's my player, right? And I'm just going to get the other session and find it. Now I'm going to press find session, and it's going to loop through the sessions that it finds, and then it's going to find only one session that is local here. And if I press join right now, I'm going to find the other player. Let me resize that. And when I move, it's going to move. Now, I'll have to be fair about this. This is not something that came easy, specifically with the player and mouse movement. So I'm going to guide you a little bit throughout what are the problems that I found here. So the first thing I found to be very weird is how this was written. What I had to do for now as well, like this is not the final code. I'll just have to prompt that. So this is a series where we actually are going to have to fix a lot of stuff later on. There is nothing that is purely correct. We're now in a prototyping phase, so mistakes will happen. But the main idea here is I have the input for the movement and the input for the mouse look, because this is actually made for Windows, but also is made in mind with a touch controls. So I don't need the touch controls for now. So just I attached that to the begin play basically. I added the mapping context of the enhanced input controls there, and this for the mouse look. Now this actually fixed a lot of stuff. And there is nothing else that I added here that made a difference, to be honest. Now one more thing I added before we close this video. These damageable boxes basically are kind of, it moves basically based on a it moves based on a physics interaction with the character. So if the character basically hits them, they're gonna move. So what I did here is replicate on movement and replicates, check those boxes basically. And now if I actually play and create a session, uh, I can move these boxes basically. And if the other player finds this session and joins the player, he's going to specifically find these boxes changed, and they can interact with it. So this is something that you're not going to actually find out of the box. Now, to make sure that you are following through, I'm going to link this project below so that you can download it and start off with the same point that I am so that there is no discrepancy here. And basically to make sure that anyone who's following through this tutorial, we're going to make sure that they can download the update for this game basically, so that this is a bare bone of something that can be much bigger later on throughout the course of the tutorial, so that no one starts on the wrong foot. Basically, I'm going to keep posting the updated version and link it through my videos. So I'll see you in the next video.